Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Dusty here, as always, the host, joined today by DJ Raphi, who is an internationally recognized entertainer and YouTube star based in Israel. He has gained prominence for his dynamic performances and his popular YouTube channel, which offers engaging dance tutorials and entertaining content. Born and raised in Israel, DJ Raphi has become known for his high-energy shows that incorporate sophisticated animation and graphics. DJ Raphi's YouTube channel has attracted a significant following with its easy-to-follow dance tutorials set to popular songs, covers, and his own originals. The channel has garnered over 225 million views and continues to grow at a rapid pace with an average of 500,000 views per day. And as of recording of this episode, this podcast has 569,000 subscribers. DJ Raphi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Doing
nice to be here, Dusty.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I just want to dive into this thing, so I'm not going to waste any time. Give us the origin story of the YouTube channel. How did DJ Raphi come to happen? Just tell us the whole thing.
Well, I would say that like when I was a younger kid, this like bubble burst in my life that I want to do music, I want to do dancing. I was more of like in a traditional type of school where that wasn't like the way to go, like more of like, get your degree, go and be a doctor, a lawyer, keep it in the tradition of Jews in Israel. And I was like, you know what? I really love music. And my father's a musician. My grandfather was a trapeze artist in one of the biggest circuses in England. And I felt this like kind of need to pursue that passion. So eventually when I was like, about around 16, I started dancing. When I was 17, I started DJing, started traveling the world. Eventually, I got married, and my wife was like, well, you want to continue this passion and create a career out of this, or do you want to go and work in a regular day job? And I'm like, you know what? I want to pursue this passion. I'll become a DJ for events. And I would DJ at these different events, parties, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, weddings. That's where like we celebrate, what it is to be like a man at the age of 13. So I started DJing at these events, and people were not like, they weren't like dancing in the dance floor the way that I thought they would. They were just kind of like moving in a very boring way. So I would put a song on the track, on the CDJ, and I would run down to the crowd, dance with them, show them the dance moves, go back to the DJ set, change the song, go back into the dance floor. And that became like my theme, my gimmick, and built this company that would provide entertainment, DJs and dancers for all these type of events, also in my country, but also in America, all over the world. And COVID hit. And when COVID hit, my business shut down completely. And I got all my employees left. We closed the office space that we were renting then. And my accountant was like, listen, I don't know what you're going to do, but maybe you should consider changing jobs, because I don't know how long this COVID's going to be going on for. And just so that you know that, like, for the next year, there's no income coming in. So I thought about it, and my mom and my wife told me that, like, listen, you have a little bit of savings left. Why don't you teach all your dances that you do at events? You do them live. Why don't you just teach them to the world? People are bored at home. They're stuck to their couches, to their beds. That will give them so much happiness. And I was like thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? Why don't we do one? Let's do the cha-cha slide, right? Everyone knows it. It's simple to dance, and it's easy to film. It cost a bit of money. We had to take some loans to make that happen because it was like filmed in a very high quality, serious studio, serious editors, and we put that video up. So that was my first YouTube video that kind of started this whole shenanigan, I call it, my business on YouTube. That's how it started.
I love that. And now you are almost 600,000 subscribers later, and you've only done just over 200 videos. So the channel has really grown, like you said in the intro there, rapidly. I mean, the pace of growth for your channel, and I see a lot of channels, is in the upper percentages of channels on YouTube. I love it. Now, as far as the type of content that your audience would come to expect now, tell my audience what kinds of videos you are uploading, like who your target audience is and the types of content you're producing.
Right. So it kind of connects to what I was saying before. I put out the cha-cha slide and I got 100 views. And then like 2 weeks later, I looked again, 300 views. And I'm like, right, this is not going to work. And my brother-in-law, as you can tell, I'm very family oriented. My brother-in-law was like, you know what, maybe you should start vlogging. So we bought equipment and like lighting and an M50 Canon camera. And I sat in my basement because we weren't allowed to go outside. And I'm just like, hey, 5 tips for don't be bored at home while coronavirus. And I was doing all these different vlogs and trying and editing, and it was so much fun, but it wasn't getting anywhere. And I kept on doing this. And then I was like, why don't I do one of those dances again? And then I did, more and more of these different dances. I did the Macarena, I did the Follow the Leader. These are dances that people know. And it really hit off. And I just kept on doing that. And then eventually I was realizing that my subscription is really growing, but I'm only throwing money in the YouTube channel and I'm not making any money back. And I did not think for a second, this will become a career. I just thought this is going to be so much fun to have an impact on the world. That's that was my idea. Like have an impact on kids and schools and families and just give them something good while everyone's suffering through this situation that we're in. And then eventually I thought to myself, you know what? I think it's time to make an original song. And it was called Shake It Off, which was my first original song that I recorded, created, produced with, a team that I built. And we made our first buck. And I'm like, whoa, we actually made money. It was like $100 after like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
And how did you make the money off that song? Like, what was it just the ad revenue from that song? Was it, or
it was literally ad revenue. We made $3 or maybe $2.50 on every 1,000 views because it was like content for any age. And we made 2 million views or 3 million views on that dance. And we were like, okay, why don't I just take that money that I made from Shake It Off, put it back into the YouTube channel and make another original. So we kept on doing that. And we didn't really pay attention for what people were looking for because I wasn't sure if my crowd was like teenagers, was it grownups, was it schools, was it younger kids, was it kindergarten, primary school? So we just kept on doing videos. And then I started getting videos from schools. And I'm like, oh, schools are watching these videos, like the PE class. They're all dancing to this at gym. Okay, so this is like, between the ages of 6 and 12. All right, so if that is I would say my goal right now, those are the people that are watching me. So then I should try create content that would fit the schools, but the primary age. So we started creating like content for kids. I didn't realize back then that when you create content for kids, the revenue for all the ads that you're showing is literally divided by 3. So you're making $1 for like 1,000 views, which is not much. But that's what I've been doing now. And it's been a lot of fun and impact has been insane. So yeah.
So we're definitely going to dive into a few things that you covered there for sure. The kids content, the different, the monetization, just looking at it from a whole, I do technology tutorials and educational content where I may get $6, $7 per 1,000 view or, $4 or $5. You may only get 1 or 2. That's just kind of how it's broken down, just so the audience listening can understand the impact and the severity of just kind of how much lower that is. Now, maybe you can explain this. I kind of have a little understanding of it, but why is that? Why does kids content monetize at such a lower rate as opposed to other niches on YouTube?
Right. So, I haven't studied this thoroughly, but from my understanding is that not many people want to advertise to kids. I don't feel that if I make an advertising campaign and I show it to a bunch of 6-year-olds, they're gonna for sure convert that into buying the product that I'm offering. But when you're doing an advertising campaign for teenagers or someone that is 21 to 24 or 30 to 40, I have a bigger chance of having him create an action, click to call and actually purchasing the type of advertising that I'm pushing out there or the type of product. And when it comes to kids, kids have kids YouTube Kids, and there's no advertising there at all. You can't even like or subscribe. You could possibly subscribe, but like there's no comments on the videos. The comments are mostly to protect the kids from all these different types of creepers out there that like to comment on kids' videos. So there's no comment section. There's no way to join as a member on kids' content. There's a lot of like disadvantages creating, content for kids. The biggest thing that I feel like the reason that people that I keep on doing this, creating content for kids, is because the outreach is huge. As soon as you make content for kids, you will be recommended next to other kids' content. So if someone's watching Cocomelon, there's a big chance that they will land up watching your video if it's good and it's high quality, and you have something that's relatable to kids, and you've also set it on your settings for this video is only made for kids. But you will make less money, but you will have a lot more views.
Right. I mean, you can imagine, the views can really start rolling in mass. I've talked with people, I have kids. I have a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and they consume YouTube content, monitored, obviously, and we kind of put time constraints on that. But you also have to think of how kids consume content, right? Oftentimes, my daughter will watch a video, she gets distracted, she does something in the kitchen and comes back, and that video is on. So you have to think from an advertiser's point of view, they're probably not getting as much bang for their buck when they're advertising for kids, right? Whereas if you're advertising in the finance niche, more likely these nerds are going to go try to buy your new crypto wallet, right? Like that's just the reality of it. Your dollar is going to go farther advertising on finance content as opposed to a dance video for kids. Now, I have to admit, my wife's a teacher. She introduced me to these things called brain breaks a long time ago. You do these brain breaks, and I have to admit, one of yours came up when my daughter was watching, and it was recommended exactly what you just said. I've talked to people and have interviewed people who have worked with the likes of Miss Rachel, some of the larger, if not the largest kids creators on YouTube. Blippy, I think is his name, Miss Rachel, and all those people. So these people are we're talking millions of views, tens of millions of views a day. So they are able to make good money because of the mass amount of views. So I love that. I do want to ask you this. What do you think you did early on growing the channel? Because you did grow so quickly, other than obviously landing on the right niche that was perfect for you. If you go watch a DJ Raphi video, you're going to know you were made for this. You were made to dance. You were made to present. There's a lot of people who can dance, but there's very few people who can dance. I DJ weddings quite often. And I'm not
really.
I do, yes. I MC. I MC a lot. I do a lot of MCing jobs where I, walk people through ceremonies, and I do DJ weddings and things like that. So with that being the case, I know kind of what you're doing a little bit, but you do such a great job of presenting yourself, not to mention the dancing. So what did you do early on with the YouTube channel? Some things that you can attribute to looking at and say, hey, these are some things that really help the channel grow.
Right. So first of all, I would search on YouTube for different types of, well-known songs. I would go into Google or YouTube and say like top 10 songs, 2000s, whatever. And it'd be like Party Rock Anthem, Uptown Funk, the Cha-Cha Slide, Macarena. I'm like, okay, so those are really good songs. Then I downloaded TubeBuddy, which really, really helped me understand the analytics behind all these searches. And I would notice that like a ton of people are searching for Can't Stop the Feeling. I never thought of doing a dance to that, but I'm like, oh, there's like a billion searches for that in the past year. And like all these different like covers for Can't Stop the Feeling have like 20 million views. So if I make a dance cover to Can't Stop the Feeling, people are going to search that term and I may come up. So that really helped me understand, kind of like which songs I should be doing. Besides that, I think at the beginning, I didn't understand what thumbnails exactly, like the impact of thumbnails were, or the impact of tags and the impact of description. Like one of the main things that I do now is like when I upload a song, I make sure that description looks neat, professional. It has all the keywords that that people could possibly search for. It has the word brain break, it has the word kids, it has nursery rhymes, it has my name, DJ Raphi. Anything that could relate to the type of content I'm creating is in the description. Not only it is in the tags, but it's in description. I used to go into all these different videos, like Can't Stop the Feeling, for example, and I would say, all right, let me see what tags are under that video and try to take some of those keywords and put them in my tags. That would help as well. And then improve the thumbnail. If if views were not like getting up there, I would improve the thumbnail to make sure that I get as many clicks as possible. And I think another thing that really helped me was creating playlists. So, sometimes if you search for something like dance classes for beginners, it may show you a video, and it also may show you a playlist of a bunch. And likely you would say, oh, this is like a bunch of these stuff. Let me go through that playlist and see what's going on. And it's enough for someone to go click on that playlist. Your video is number 2, for an example, and they watch it and they just keep on watching all those videos in that playlist. So playlist is something that people, I think, really undermine and has been a very big tool to get me more recognition, more views, I would say. And yeah, TubeBuddy's been a very, very helpful to understanding what the title should be.
Let's talk thumbnails for a minute. How do you do them now? Like the current iteration of your thumbnail design. Walk us through that whole process.
Right. So I don't know if you can notice, but this is like my actual studio, which we'll discuss in a second. But today I actually filmed a new video about 2 hours ago. I had my whole team here, and we did a new video called The DJ Says. It's basically like the Simon Says, put your hands up, and if I don't say Simon Says, don't put your hands up. So we did something similar to that. And at the end, like when we finished the filming and we understood how this video is going to come out, I got my videographer and photographer to kind of tell me like, all right, we need a good thumbnail. Why don't you, stand with your hands like above your ears, like you want to hear what's going on, but you want someone on the microphone saying the DJ says, and we're going to have the title on the top. So we really go into that small details, and it takes us, we put probably between 1 to 3 hours only on creating the perfect thumbnail. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we'll test them as well. So we'll put one thumbnail for about a month. If we see the viewership is not amazing, we will switch that thumbnail. But yeah, the idea is, if this is a thumbnail, the screen. So if you guys are not only listening to this, but you're watching the YouTube, big face right here on the front, Mr. B style. And then over here, you would have me doing a little dance with a bit of question marks and the DJ Says title.
Yeah. I love it. Your thumbnails are wonderful. I love the colors. I love the way that you do your thumbnails. They're just so clean and very smooth. Now, someone listening to this might hear you say, oh, you wait a month and then you change your thumbnail. I know, because I know how YouTube works, that your content is rather evergreen, which means that people are watching your videos for years, in the future. So do you think about that when creating the video of that, years from now, people are going to be watching this, and you try to optimize and get the most out of that video as its lifespan goes on?
I wouldn't say that specifically. I think, okay, this video has to be an evergreen video. Mm-hmm. It just kind of happened with my older videos. And I noticed that, as long as I create music and create dance videos that are relevant to most people for, I would say, for a full year calendar, if I would call it that way. So if you wanted to watch it in January, this video, the colors video, you could watch it in December, and it would be completely there's no difference between January and the next year in December. I focus more on the age gap, less on, how long this video can last.
Right.
And what I'm noticing is that people have recently been telling me, oh, DJ Raphi, my kids grew up on you. I'm like, what do you mean grew up on me? I've been on for 3.5 years. I'm like, yeah, my kids, they were 6, now they're 9.5. And I'm like, so are they still watching? They're like, oh yeah, but now they want cool stuff. They want the dance, the Wheels on the Bus remix dance remix and they want you to buy your shirts. So what I've noticed is that I'm kind of building myself this like little army of little DJ Raphi kids that are growing up in this like cool environment of dance and, electronic music and movement and, creating a boost of self-esteem and empowerment. And they become loyal and they purchase merchandise and they come to live shows. And I think that's my idea, less on, I hope this video lasts for 20 years.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Great answer. My next question is going to be about this as a business. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Is this your full-time job, just for the listeners listening to this? Do you do this full-time, or do you have other stuff that you do outside of the channel?
Right. So 2020, as I mentioned, I closed my business, unfortunately, because of COVID. And then, I started the YouTube channel, wasn't making any money at all for like a year and a half. Started creating my own music and slowly, building that capital of like, okay, I have more money to invest in the YouTube channel. Thank God events started coming back in, and I went back to performing, like do like live shows, and I've been all over the States, and I've been at different places around the world, also in Israel. I perform quite a bit. And today we have, full company running entertainment, DJs, dancers for the various type of events, and we do live shows. So that is where I would say the main income comes from, and which allows me to build this entire company for the YouTube channel. I'll explain what that means. I'm now in my studio. So this studio is quite big. We have a full set of green screen. We have lighting everywhere. We have cameras everywhere. We have a music production studio right here in the back. We have offices on the other side. We have a team of editors on this side. And this costs a lot of money to run, and it's only for YouTube. So what allows me to do this is that I said, okay, I need to think of a way that I can run a company, run a business that I don't have to be so involved in. In somewhat way, I am involved, but not entirely, so that I can run this YouTube company in a successful way. So I have to make sure that I'm creating a passive income. So we send DJs and they do events, we make that money, and that money goes straight into the YouTube channel. Or if it is to create, like buy, rent another office space, or purchase more logistics, whatever it is, more DJ equipment. But the idea was to have a company that works kind of by itself. There's like an office manager that deals with everything. And then I can focus on the YouTube channel, which in the past year has exploded, and kind of proved my point that like this was a very scary leap to make. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of like, should I do it? Should I not? Like, this is a dream of mine, but it's going to cost so much money. And sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith. And I've been very lucky that my family are like huge supporters of what I do. I would say not everyone is like, at the beginning when I started this, they're like, Raphi, like this is not the way to go. This is not like too subtle. Maybe we should think of something else, that you can make income. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a YouTuber, and I'm going to have the best time of my life. And I need you guys to trust me. And there were enough people to trust me with this leap of faith, and it worked out.
That's so important. I talk about it so much here. I'm not going to talk about it much now, but it's so important to have that just backing of your support system. And I did have that moment. My plan early on was just to continue doing the YouTube and my voiceover work and the things that I was kind of doing on the side. I was just going to do that stuff just kind of in tandem with my job. And then one day I told my wife, I said, I really think I can make us a whole lot more money for our family if I go full time and start running my business. And she didn't even question it. She was like, absolutely. And we did it. It was so scary. It was a leap of faith. And now, 7 years later, I'm so thankful that we did, and it was just, it was a wonderful moment. And I think all creators have that moment, right? And you may never get there if you're listening to this. I know a lot of creators making a ton of money. They still want to do their day job. I was talking to a professor the other day. He's making almost, like 5 figures a month on YouTube, but he's still, teaching because he loves it. He loves the kids, right? So you may never get to that point, and that's fine. Whatever your story is, you need to tell it and stick to it. But that's just awesome. Now, when it comes to monetization of the YouTube channel, We're not going to be
Right.
talking exact numbers for various reasons that we're not going to get into right now, but can you at least divulge just the different avenues of revenue from the YouTube channel that stem from the YouTube channel? Because people can go to your channel and say, well, he's getting, 500,000 views a day or whatever it may be. You can do the math, right? So you can kind of do the math on that. But the ways that you're making money from the channel, the DJ Raphi channel, can you just kind of go into those for us?
Sure. So I'll start with the fact that it's actually we're reaching between 600,000 to 700,000 views a day, which is, it's really crazy. Like I remember the days where I would get like 10,000 views a day and I was like, oh, wow, that's insane. And then I would get like 20,000 views a day. Like, wow. Then I got 100,000 views a day. And then one month I went back down to like 50 and I was so upset. I'm like, how can it be 50? But like just 6 months ago, I was so excited about 10. So I make sure to appreciate, those small bumps, the jumps that I have with my YouTube channel. Doesn't matter how many views I get a day. I'm very thankful for that. The only thing is that 90% or 85% of those views go to videos that are not monetized. They're copyrighted. I don't own the Cha-Cha Slide video. So that money goes straight to, their label, and I don't make a cent. So I make from the 600,000 views I get every single day, on 15%, I will make, enough monetization, but it's for kids' content. So remember, that's $1 for every 1,000 views. So it's really not that much money per se. So we make some money off ad revenue because I've been doing a lot of songs that are copyrighted. And we've been doing like a lot of originals recently, and we have a lot more coming up, but it's relatively new. So, there's a lot to expand, but that's not like the main place that we make money from YouTube. I would say brand deals that we have behind the scenes, working with different organizations and summer camps and schools and clients. I have a management company that works with me called Thought Leaders, and they help me find brand deals and shows, and we create all these different dance videos. Like, for example, I performed at a summer camp in August 2023 called Moshava.io in Pennsylvania, and we created a YouTube dance for them called Yama. And everyone had to learn the dance, and then, it was sponsored by the summer camp. I came in, did a live show for the entire camp, 1,500 people. They went crazy. We did the dance that they learned on YouTube. And then we created a video of that actual show as well. So it was all like sponsored and branded really, really nicely. And it was a great marketing tool for them. And we made good money on that deal. So that's probably the main income, is that we create all these different brand deals. Another thing that we make a bit of money on, which is now growing, is merchandise. Like this shirt that I'm wearing right now. Like, let me go back. We tried to sell merchandise and it wasn't working. I would tell people, buy my shirts, post about it, do a story about it on Instagram. I would do a short about it. People were just not purchasing. And then I decided to wear one of these shirts in my video. If you saw the colors, which I released recently, I'm wearing this shirt. So I don't even have to say, buy the shirt. People want the shirt. They want to buy it. So they go into my website. There's a link in the description, and they click and they go buy it. So that's one of the ways that we were building our online merchandise shop. And I would say the fourth thing, like we said, ad revenue, we said brand deals, we said merchandise, and we have memberships. So that is growing as well. We have a lot of members that are joining my channel to get exclusive behind the scenes content, lives with me, shout outs, discounts to merchandise, and just like a very personal conversation and community, getting from them ideas. What should be the next song? What should be the next thumbnail? My next profile picture they chose. So that's, I think that about sums it up. One more thing. We make money from Spotify as well. Like all these different stream revenues from like streaming our music. So like, the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. We actually make money off that because that's a public domain song. So we remixed it, and we will make money off the different streams on Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Spotify.
Can you talk about the copyright system on YouTube and how you manage it the right way? Because I get a lot of questions about that on a weekly basis of what am I and what am I not allowed to do. You talked about, let's just use, for instance, the video you talked about, the cha-cha slide, right? That video now has 44 million views, on that video. You obviously don't own that IP or that intellectual property. So with that being the case, what do you have to do as a creator? You obviously, use that to build your brand, because that's 44 million people who have now, been introduced to DJ Raphi, which then in turn can go consume one of your original songs, and then you can get money, right? So explain the copyright stuff and how you navigate it the proper way.
Right. So, a lot of these songs that I uploaded 2-3 years ago, I had no idea what copyright even meant, and I would just upload them and hope for the best. So from my understanding is that when you upload a video that is not your song, or it's not your video, you will get a copyright claim. The owner of that song or content will kind of say to you, all right, you are allowed to upload this content, but all the revenue will go straight to the person that owns the label, and when that person owns the label, they're basically saying, I don't care. If you're making me money, I'm happy, as long as I'm making that money back. So that's my contract with the label of Cha-Cha Slide or the Macarena or Follow the Leader. But I had a situation where Sony blocked the Macarena song. And I reach out to them and say, hey guys, this is a dance that I've done. It's a remix. There's no reason to block it. You guys are making all the money. And it took about 2 months of negotiating back and forth, and they agreed to leave my video unblocked on the actual channel, which was incredible and amazing. And I'm hoping that, none of these videos will be blocked in the future, sure. But there is a chance that that would happen.
Sure. Thank you for kind of going into more detail with that. Now, you live in Israel. There's obviously a lot going on, where you live. Do you mind just touching briefly on the impact of real world things to you as a creator, of how it impacts maybe even your mood and the things that you're able to do, and just the difficulty that it adds being a creator located where you are?
Sure. So definitely a tough subject. As you know, Israel is in a continuous war in the past 5 months, which has been very, very stressful. It's been a huge impact on content creation, because a lot of the people that work with me had to go down to the south, be in reserves. So we've had to cut a lot of the work into half, because there weren't any employees to work on the different videos, on the different soundtracks that we're working on. And then I would say, on an emotional aspect, it's been very difficult to be creative. And I'm very vocal about the fact that I'm Israeli, and that Israel is a safe place and a good place for people to come and join and visit, and we're all about peace and creativity and making the world a better place and being a light to the world. And people have a very hard time understanding that I'm DJ Raphi from Israel. So I'm vocal on that, and that does have an impact on my YouTube channel. A lot of people unsubscribe, unfollow. But what I've noticed is that my views have only gone up since, in a really weird way. So I think, it's been really tough that my music producer right now is not available to help me with soundtracks. So we're just waiting for him to come back instead of finding other people, because I'm very loyal to my employees. So it has an effect on content creation, unfortunately. But I believe that soon all this will end, hopefully, and we'll go back to full capacity very soon.
Well, I'm certainly sorry that you have to deal with that, but you have such a positive attitude. Just talking with you the brief time that I've kind of spoken with you, you can tell you're a family man. You can tell you care about other people. You can tell that you have a passion for the music and the impact that you have, the positive impact that you have on the kids and young people that hundreds of thousands of them that are consuming your content every single day. So we're certainly I'm glad you haven't stopped, and I'm glad that you're still doing it. As far as kind of in conclusion, as we kind of wrap the interview up today, I want to ask you, what's next for you? Like, what are you looking to do short term and long term? Like, do you have some goals in mind, some aspirations for the channel? What are you looking to do?
Right. So it's a great question. And it's always good to kind of like reflect on what's going to come. Because I don't always like talk about that, like, vocally. But I would say live shows is where we're going right now, bringing the YouTube to the stage, with all the graphic elements, with huge crowds, amazing music, and creating more of that original stuff that we're doing, having an impact on all these kids. And Dusty, one of the most interesting things that I found with my videos that is not like other content creators, when you show your kid any of these other kids content creators or any creator on YouTube, when you press play on that video, what happens usually to anyone? You just sit and watch, right? So automatically we've created this idea that you watch DJ Raphi and you get up.
Yeah.
You get up, it's family time, people get together, you film one another, you do dance competitions. So this is creating like this whole atmosphere for families to be together, to connect on an amazing level of happiness, joy, music, dancing, movement, but also, giving kids something positive to do, as that it gives them empowerment. It gets them to be a bit, it gives them a way to move in a way that they're comfortable. Not all kids are comfortable moving their bodies. So what we've noticed is that besides people dancing at home, a lot of these schools all over the world, I'm talking about Pakistan, I'm talking about Brazil, Japan, Alaska, Norway, all over Europe and all over South America, and a lot of the Arab countries as well. They dance to my videos in, I would say groups of hundreds. So they will go into the computer, whatever, the gym teacher or the principal, they will press, all right, let's play Wheels on the Bus, right? So it goes up on a huge screen, and there you have 350 kids dancing at the same time. Now, how many views is that for me?
Yeah, it's one view for you, but
one view for me. 350 kids were dancing to that. Okay, this happens every single day, times probably 500,000. Maybe not 350, but I would say a classroom of 30 kids to 100 to 300. I've received videos from summer camps where there's 1,000 kids dancing at the same time to one of my songs called Bubble It. So that's one view, but that means that probably if there's 600,000 views that I'm receiving on my data on YouTube, I'm probably looking at 10 million a day. 10 million kids are watching my videos. So if I would go on tour, I think there's enough kids that will come buy a ticket to that show. And that's I would say that's my dream, to tour the world and give these kids meaning and strengthen them and give them light and happiness. I think that's the idea behind this whole thing.
Well, I certainly know that you will achieve that. Just knowing, your content and what you're doing. And you're right. Not to mention the way kids consume content. They're going to go watch that Bubble It video when they get home. That's going to be another view. They'll probably watch it 20 more times. I know there's dance videos that my daughter, who's 9 years old, she has these same videos that she watches over and over again. So that's
right.
just you have to understand the consumption habits of your target audience, and knowing that, and knowing that your songs are being viewed by, like you said, millions of kids every single day, that's doing nothing but building your brand, the DJ Raphi brand of what you're trying to do, the positive impact you're trying to have, and just the interactiveness of your content is probably one of the best things about it, because you're right. The kids aren't just sitting there staring at the screen. They're actually getting up and burning some calories and moving around. And we live in a very sedentary world right now as kids are growing up. Being a parent, it's very hard to, right now my kids are in t-ball. My oldest daughter's in basketball. And I love that because I get to see them do these things and move and
Right.
just really do things that a lot of kids aren't doing right now. So I love that. What would be a final word that you would leave with my audience of creators, of people who listen to this, who are aspiring to be where you are, or they're going along this YouTube journey with you?
So I would say, firstly, be surrounded by people that believe in your mission. And it doesn't have to be like a bunch of friends. It's enough that it could be your spouse or your partner or even like your parents. My mom, she passed away about a year and a half ago. She was like my biggest pioneer. She believed in me, until the end. She's like, just keep on doing what you're doing. You're having such an impact on these kids. It's amazing. When's your next video coming out? Like, sometimes you just need that, that push or that support from people that are very close to you, your parents. My wife is like a huge supporter of what I do. She's so excited about every song that comes out, and we cannot wait to dance to it together in the house. So surround yourself with people that believe in what you're doing. The second tip that I would kind of give any YouTuber out there that is, either starting now or in a place where they're a little bit stuck, find one more person to assist you with all these different things that you're having a hard time with. So it could be a student that is looking for a part-time job. It could be a contractor that you pay hourly, but someone that you can just kind of brainstorm back and forth of ideas, how to film, when to film, maybe not film alone. Maybe he's in the room with you. When I film my videos, I have at least 4 other people in the room itself. So one is like, all right, let's do this part of the song. The other one is the videographer. The other one is the director and the animator. So they're with me and they're kind of like making sure that all is going well and I don't feel alone. I think being alone is really, really tough. And that's one of the things that we mentioned, like during this time in Israel, it's been tough being alone. But that is my biggest tip. Find that one person that you trust that can join on board and help you build your YouTube channel.
Man, that's good stuff. That's powerful. Thank you, Raphi. I appreciate that. Again, guys, go check out DJ Raphi over on YouTube. Follow him. If you've got kids, go over there. His videos are wonderful. I appreciate you giving us this behind-the-scenes look of what it takes to be a successful creator. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We fail. We make mistakes and we get back up, and that's what makes the difference in a creator who's successful and one who's not, because you could have quit. When you saw that you were only getting those, that 300 views or 100 views on the Macarena or on the Cha-Cha slide, you could have just quit, but you didn't. You stuck with it, and thank goodness you did, because now you're 200 videos in, almost 600,000 subscribers later, millions of views every day. So thank you again, DJ Raphi. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sure. Dusty, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'll end with just saying that about 3 years ago, you interviewed, I think it was a veteran that started his YouTube channel and he wanted to do this full time. I listened to your podcast. And recently this guy came up again that he was on the show a few years ago, you brought him back, and now he's doing it full time. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. That, I listened to this podcast when I really needed that help. And that probably gave me some tools that I didn't even realize that I was utilizing then until now. So, it's a great opportunity to hopefully give back to the podcast. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the YouTube community.